Physician Dr. Mike has taken a look at the latest influencer food item.
Dr. Mike reacts to Lunchly.
Lunchly just got destroyed.
Dr. Mike absolutely dismantling Logan Paul.
I agree with Dr. Mike.
Really, really important stuff because it has to do with kids.
Mold inside of the viral Lunchly is seriously becoming a major problem. A few weeks ago, I made a video talking about one person finding mold inside of their Lunchly, and since then it has only gotten worse.
Yeah, like I like my cheese moldy, bro.
Lunchly was supposed to be an automatic win. One of those ideas that sounds successful the moment you hear it. You had three of the biggest names on the internet, MrBeast, KSI, and Logan Paul, coming together with a promise to fix kids' lunches. The concept itself was simple and familiar. Take the Lunchable style format kids already recognize, remove the sugary juice, replace it with Prime, lower some of the sugar, and sell it as a smarter option for parents who still want something quick and easy. On paper, it made perfect sense. It felt like Prime, just relocated from the beverage aisle to the lunch aisle. And in the beginning, the rollout went exactly how you'd expect. When Lunchly teasers started circulating in late 2023, retailers reacted immediately. Walmart reportedly cleared shelf space almost overnight. Target locations were said to have placed early orders before most people even knew what the product tasted like. That's the power of influencer hype. It creates demand before the product ever has a chance to stand on its own. And you know, Logan Paul, this guy just went too low. Like, you can see he brought up his own brother, Jake Paul, where you can tell the review is obviously paid. And look how Jake Paul pretends after taking the Lunchly for the first time. And I highly doubt here that Jake Paul is even trying it for the first time.
This is my first time trying MrBeast and Logan's Lunchly.
Technically it's KSI's as well.
Who?
Alright.
This is great. The cheese is fire.
You know what else it is?
It's drippy. Now shut the up. Literally shut the up.
Like really, what? You want me to believe this is a real review? Really? Oh man, I can believe anything, but Jake Paul saying the cheese is fire and that Lunchly tastes good? I'm sorry guys, you might believe it, but I can't. Let me know in the comments how many of you agree that Jake Paul's review is honest. And by the way, in this video you can see a licensed doctor who also destroyed their product, Lunchly, saying it's unhealthy for kids and that some of the ingredients can even cause cancer.
I did a video talking about this viral lunch product called Lunchly, made by MrBeast, KSI, and Logan Paul. And ever since then, things have spiraled out of control.
Physician Dr. Mike has taken a look at the latest influencer food item.
Dr. Mike reacts to Lunchly.
Lunchly just got destroyed.
Dr. Mike absolutely dismantling Logan Paul.
I agree with Dr. Mike.
Really, really important stuff because it has to do with kids.
Then another one, Lunchly can give you cancer. I said ultra-processed foods, some specific ones can increase rates of cancer, not the same as saying Lunchly gives you cancer.
So you just heard this doctor say that Lunchly is not good for kids. And yes, he didn't say Lunchly will cause cancer, but he did say ultra-processed food can cause cancer. And Lunchly is an ultra-processed food. So can you imagine how harmful Lunchly really is? Anyone watching this video, would you suggest Lunchly for your kids or loved ones? Let me know your point of view in the comments. By the time Lunchly officially launched, the excitement was already baked in. Behind the scenes, confidence was sky high. On podcasts and interviews, the founders were already talking about massive projections. 9 figures wasn't framed as a wild dream, but as a realistic future milestone. Internally, Lunchly was being positioned as Prime 2.0, another creator-led brand that wouldn't just trend for a moment, but would dominate an entire category for years. But this is where things began to crack. Food isn't merch, and it's not energy drinks either. Food plays by different rules. Labels matter. Ingredients matter. Parents don't just look at the front of the box. They turn it over and read the nutrition facts. And kids? Kids don't care about branding or influencer names if the food tastes off or feels weird. When Lunchly finally hit store shelves, consumers did exactly that. They flipped the box over. Almost immediately, the first red flag appeared. Sodium. One of the turkey kits came in at around 800 milligrams of sodium. For a product being marketed as a smarter lunch option for kids, that number stood out fast, and not in a good way.
When I saw MrBeast, Logan Paul, and KSI announce they're launching a Lunchables competitor, I wasn't surprised when I saw it had seed oils, processed sugar, and a bunch of bull.
For adults, that number is already high. For kids, it's borderline absurd. Nutritionists online were quick to point out that for an average child, 800 milligrams of sodium is simply too much. One single Lunchly kit could account for nearly a third of a kid's recommended daily sodium intake before dinner even entered the picture. And that 25% less sugar claim? Technically accurate, but only if you compared it to a very specific Lunchables combo that included both a dessert and a sugary drink. When people compared similar kits side by side, the difference shrank fast. It became the kind of statistic statistic that looks impressive in a headline but means almost nothing in real life. Then, parents started looking deeper, and the ingredient lists became the next problem. Real cheese was one of Lunchly's biggest selling points, but familiar red flags showed up almost immediately. Sodium phosphates, preservatives, stabilizers. None of it was illegal, none of it was shocking, but none of it supported the wellness-style marketing either. This wasn't some clean, fresh alternative. It was still ultra-processed food, just wrapped in influencer branding. Naturally, TikTok stepped in. Blind taste tests began flooding the platform, and the results weren't great for Lunchly. Kids were picking regular Lunchables over Lunchly more often than not, and that's the worst-case scenario for a better version product. If your so-called upgrade loses to the original in blind tests, the branding advantage disappears instantly. Meanwhile, the marketing machine never slowed down. MrBeast, Logan Paul, and KSI kept posting as if nothing was happening, pushing Lunchly with the same confidence as before. But by that point, the conversation had already shifted. The hype was still loud, but the cracks were impossible to ignore.
Lunchly versus Lunchables.
With Lunchly, you get double the amount of liquid.
Prime has no sugar added, more electrolytes, and more B vitamins.
Crunch Bar.
Whoa.
Feastables Crunch Bar. Yeah! Our pizza uses real cheese. Theirs, as it says on their box, is mozzarella pasteurized prepared cheese product. They can't even call it real cheese. Ooh. We're also 30 less calories, 3 less grams of fat, and 8 less grams of sugar.
The content shifted next, straight into the freezer aisle. We changed the game clips. Louder edits, heavier hype, more noise everywhere. It started to feel like the strategy wasn't to answer criticism, but to drown it out. Outrun the questions instead of engaging with them. And for a while, that approach almost worked. Then the conversation took a darker turn. It moved away from nutrition and into safety. Independent testing began circulating online, showing trace amounts of lead in some Lunchly kits. Important detail, the levels were still within FDA limits, and that part does matter. But pediatric doctors quickly stepped in to add context. Any amount of lead exposure in children is bad. There isn't a safe amount when it comes to kids. On top of that, concerns started spreading about phthalates, chemicals commonly linked to plastic packaging and long-term health risks. At that point, Lunchly wasn't just being criticized for not being healthy enough. It became something worse. It became uncomfortable. Parents weren't debating macros anymore. They were questioning whether this was something they wanted anywhere near their kids. But nothing did more damage than what came next: the mold. Videos began spreading online showing fuzzy green spots growing on cheese slices inside Lunchly kits. Not rumors, not speculation, actual visual proof. And once those images hit the internet, no amount of marketing could undo it. Because nutrition debates can be argued, safety concerns can be contextualized, but mold ends conversations instantly.
These are molded. Okay, so these ones are supposed to be good until December, and we just got them from the store. It says used by December 8th, 2024, and today's date is October 16th. So these are supposed to be good for like another 2 months. This is molded. That's mold. This is not safe, especially like kids that are so young. They may not know what mold looks like, so they might just eat it.
Not just one clip, not just one store. This was happening across multiple locations, in different states, tied to different batches. That's what made it impossible to brush off. This wasn't someone leaving a kit out too long or storing it wrong. These were sealed products, straight off the shelf. And that's the moment trust really fell apart. Because when something like that happens, people expect urgency. They expect transparency, a clear response. Instead, there was no loud recall, no immediate serious statement, no moment where the company came out and said, "We messed up. Here's what went wrong, and here's how we're fixing it." The silence did more damage than the mold itself. At that point, the issue wasn't just food safety anymore. It was credibility.
Yeah, on the mold thing, here's the thing. We, every single Lunchly with cheese meat is USDA inspected. There is no mold when it leaves our factory. Yeah. Like, we have the highest QC standards imaginable. Like, what do we have? Why would we ship that out? Like, that doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean? And we obviously have the best experts in the world. I mean, even once these things come out, I mean, we brought even more. They're pouring up and down the lines, making sure everything's good. It's just, the thing is, here's a context a lot of people leave out. Look at, I don't want to name specific brands but take a specific brand that comes into your mind when you think of something like Lunchly, something that's very similar, specific brand, I don't know, other brands, competitors, and Google their name and put the word mold behind it. You'll see thousands upon thousands of examples. And that, I think, is a key context a lot of people leave out in this, because they're acting like this is just a thing with us.
Instead of a public reckoning, Lunchly simply faded out. The product quietly vanished from shelves under what insiders described as a quality hold. In plain terms, pull it, don't announce it. No headlines, no accountability tour, just silence and quiet removal. And from there, the reactions split in very revealing ways. KSI joked about the situation, brushing it off like internet noise. Logan Paul took a more defensive route, going on podcasts and talking about moisture issues issues and supply chain complications, repeatedly stressing that millions of people were still eating Lunchly without problems. MrBeast, meanwhile, went quiet, and for someone whose entire brand is built on openness and transparency, that silence spoke louder than any statement could have. What people were really waiting for never came. Not more explanations, not more marketing, accountability, a clear acknowledgement that something went wrong and that it mattered. That absence created a vacuum, and sales numbers filled it fast. Early hype framed Lunchly as a future billion-dollar brand. The reality was far more grounded. Year one sales reportedly landed around $90 million. That's not a failure on paper, but compared to expectations, it was a significant miss. Worse, momentum didn't hold. In the following quarters, sales allegedly dropped by double digits. Stores stopped reordering, parents lost trust, kids stopped asking for it. Lunchly went from front and center placement to the back of the shelf, and then quietly off the shelf altogether. And that's when the internet fully turned. DanTDM posted a tweet that landed like a hammer. He called out creators for selling low-quality products to kids. No theatrics, no outrage farming, just a straightforward criticism. And that's why it hit so hard. Because it wasn't dramatic, it was honest. KSI's response to it didn't land, and by that point, the damage was already done.
While showing his toys that he sold to kids. How does this benefit your fans, Dan? Now, obviously, people didn't realize that I was shining a mirror in his face. Instead, they were like,
wait, you did the same as Dan. You made toys with Tube Heroes.
And yes, that's fair, but I'm not the one complaining.
Well, okay then. He was talking about food, not merchandise and toys.
And I'm like, okay, sure. Let's keep moving the goalposts. But okay, did I reply to this? He was sponsored, then promoted, and made a whole video on Munch Pack, a monthly sub box full of food and candy to his Minecraft audience full of kids. Now what?
Logan's follow-up post didn't really change the conversation. Even MrBeast's explanation threads felt more like polished brand messaging than genuine reflection. After that, Lunchly didn't crash overnight, it didn't explode, it simply faded. No dramatic shutdown announcement, no comeback story, no redemption arc, just silence. And in many ways, that silence said everything. Because Lunchly didn't struggle because people suddenly turned against influencers. It struggled because food operates on different rules. Nutrition doesn't respond to branding. Ingredients don't care about storytelling. And parents care far more than fans ever will. By the time Lunchly stopped trending online, the momentum was already gone. This is the part people often misunderstand about brand declines like this. They rarely end with a bang. They end quietly. Products slowly disappearing from shelves. Websites that technically still exist but never get updated. Social media accounts going inactive. Not because a company officially shut down, but because saying anything would only draw more attention to the situation. That's exactly where Lunchly landed. As of now, Lunchly isn't officially discontinued. There's been no formal shutdown announcement, no apology video, no press release saying the product is over. If you look hard enough, you can still find the website. You might even come across a leftover kit at a smaller retailer or through resale channels. But the vision that was originally sold, the billion-dollar kids' lunch empire, that part is gone. And it didn't disappear because of one single issue. Discussions around nutrition, quality control, and packaging concerns were triggers, not the root cause. The real problem was trust. Lunchly wasn't marketed like a normal food product. It wasn't positioned as, here's another convenient lunch option, judge it for yourself. It was sold as better, smarter, a step forward. Parents weren't just buying crackers and cheese. They were buying the idea that 3 massive creators had already done the research for them. Once that trust cracked, everything unraveled quickly. Parents don't disengage quietly when it comes to their kids. You can stumble with merch, digital projects, drinks, even snacks, and people move on. Food is different. Food is personal. Food is responsibility. And the moment parents felt like they were being sold branding instead of clarity, the tone of the conversation shifted permanently. Then came the broader cultural moment. DanTDM wasn't just another online critic. He represents an earlier generation of creators, ones who built long-term trust before influencer products became the norm. When he spoke up, it didn't feel like drama. It felt like someone finally putting words to what many people were already thinking. Jacksepticeye echoing that sentiment only amplified it. Suddenly, this wasn't just about Lunchly. It became a larger discussion about creator responsibility, about whether influencers should be selling food to kids at all, about how far the creator economy has shifted from make cool things to monetize every possible moment of attention. Lunchly became the case study, not because it was malicious or intentionally misleading, but because it was rushed, overconfident, and built on momentum instead of fundamentals. Ironically, Lunchly might have survived under different conditions: a smaller launch, clearer positioning, less emphasis on healthier for kids language, a more transparent response to early criticism, a faster, louder approach to addressing quality concerns. But influencer brands aren't built to slow down. They're built to scale fast or move on. And that's what appears to have happened here. None of the founders have doubled down publicly. There's been no relaunch announcement, no reformulation campaign, no parent-focused reset explaining what changed and why, no Lunchly 2.0. And that absence tells you everything you need to know. Lunchly didn't just lose sales, it lost belief. And once belief is gone, especially with products aimed at kids, no algorithm can bring it back. So where does that leave Lunchly today? Technically still around, practically irrelevant. A product that now exists more as a cautionary example than a competitor. A reminder that influencer reach has limits, that food isn't content, that kids aren't just another audience segment to optimize. And maybe that's the real takeaway. Lunchly's story isn't satisfying because it struggled. It's notable because facts beat hype. Reality beat branding. Parents beat influencers. And that doesn't happen often. Now I want to hear from you. Did Lunchly ever deserve the hype in the first place? Was this just creators moving too fast? Or should influencer-led food brands aimed at kids not exist at all? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I read them all. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into influencer stories that actually matter. This space moves fast, and the next collapse is always closer than it looks.